Hello and welcome to the Google Ads Strategy Show, where I answer your questions about Google Ads. But today I'm not going to be answering the questions. I'm going to be asking them because I have a guest with me. And with me today is Mark Petree. He's from a company called Limo Marketer. It's his company. And as the name suggests, he focuses on marketing for limo companies. Mark's been doing this specifically, exclusively now for about 3 years, and he actually has over 80 clients just from the limo industry. So just a side note, if you think it might be hard to niche down and still get enough clients, just look at what Mark's doing because he's just crushing it, just focusing on limo companies. But we're not going to be talking about getting clients today. We're actually just going to be talking about Google Ads for limo companies. So if you're running a campaign for a limo company, if you are a limo company looking to get into Google Ads, this is going to be for you. So Mark, welcome. Anything that I left out there?
No, you pretty much covered everything. Appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, great. So how did you get into Google Ads?
In 2000, I think my first job I worked, my first real job was working for a company that rented large video screens to events. And so that was in 2006. I started out cold calling all these people, and it's a very, very niche industry. Shortly discovered, because I was in charge of all the marketing, that cold calling wasn't the best way to get these guys. It was online marketing, and specifically Google Ads. And so I started with Google Ads in 2007, 2008, and I ran them for that company for about 8 or 9 years. And so that's kind of how I got into it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't even realize that you'd had that much experience with Google Ads before kind of going out on your own. So what are some of the things you learned early on that might be different about doing this on your own versus how you got started with it?
So early on, it's so funny, like the same fundamentals, like, still apply, getting your ads in front of the right people, not, paying too much per click, sending them to a page that, kind of speaks to their, customer avatar. For instance, I know in my industry, if you have someone searching for party bus rentals, you want to send them to a page about that. If they're searching for, wanting to rent a stretch limo, you send them to a page about that. And that's how you're going to, convert the highest number of these visitors. But fundamentally, Google Ads really hasn't changed. It's making sure we put our ads in front of the right people, because if you put your ads in front of the wrong people, they will click on them. And then, just making sure we're not paying too much for that traffic, and depending on the market, you might want to be bidding very low. And if it's a small market, you might have to bid higher to hit your budget goals. So I went into a little bit of the weeds there, Kyle, but
Sure.
did I answer the question? I'm not sure if I fully understood it.
Yeah, no, it was probably a bad question, but I think you answered it just fine.
Okay, cool.
You're still just my second interviewee, so I'm still getting used to how to ask questions. But
it's an art in itself, just interviewing people, isn't it?
Yeah, but no, we're good. So I'm having you on because I know you do good work with Google Ads, but I think you also do other services for these limo companies. So what other services are you offering them?
Yeah, so right now I'm offering Google Ads. I also do Bing Ads. I think that's very underutilized. In the right markets, it can be very powerful. And usually those markets are going to be the larger markets, just because, Topeka, Kansas, you might not even be able to spend $50 a day on Google. You're not going to be able to spend hardly anything on Bing. But in large markets like LA, Chicago, New York City, markets like that, Bing Ads works really well. So that's another service I offer. And then I also offer like a CRM. For the past year, I've been using Active Campaign, and I've kind of built it out with pre-made automations. And it's really easy to duplicate, just like I think a lot of these other CRMs are. And so they're pretty much pre-built automations. And so I've got a couple different packages. That's my largest package. I offer Google Ads, Bing Ads, retargeting, and then Active Campaign with all these, pre-built automations. And so, but never got into doing websites or SEO. Never wanted to, because I found well, for one, that's not what I started doing. It's not what I know. I found you can be most profitable if you stick to exactly what you know, and then really try to machine that and make it as efficient as possible. And so I've been really trying to not get distracted with all these other, oh, why aren't you offering SEO? Why aren't you offering Facebook ads and all these other things? Because I can guarantee, results with Google Ads, whereas with SEO, as you know, Kyle, it's depending on the website, depending on their, the backlinks they have and all this other stuff. One website you might rank in a few months, another website might take years. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you'd mentioned that Google Ads is about fundamentals. But what are some things that you think make limo company ads unique from Google Ads for other types of businesses? What are some things you found set those types of campaigns apart?
So as far as the ad copy itself, or are you talking about like the key, like just an overall keywords and that sort of thing?
Whatever comes to mind. Like if someone, they might be used to running Google Ads for dentists or some other type of company, and now they want to set up a campaign for a limo company. What's going to be different about that? What do they need to know and keep in mind?
Yeah, of course. So really it depends. So one thing is really getting to know your clients. With limo companies, there's typically three different types. There's ones that focus on like corporate and airport transportation services. Those are typically sedan and SUVs, and like Sprinter vans. There's retail limo companies that focus on stretch limos and party buses. And then there's companies that focus on like motor coaches and those very large buses that you see. And so each different company has different, it's all in the keyword selection I've found. And the limo industry, let me give you an example. If you use the keyword limo service, you're going to get people that are searching for stretch limos, and then people that are also searching for just like a high-end car service. I'm sure you've been to the airport before when you're exiting and it says limos are this way. Does it mean stretch limos? No, it doesn't, right? It just means like a car service. And so, so that's how the limo industry is, that's why you really need to get to know your niche, because it's all in the keyword selection. So for the companies that use, mainly want sedan and SUV work, you can use limo as a keyword, but you also need to have some sort of like airport or airport code in the keyword. So for instance, limo service wouldn't be a good keyword for these corporate focused clients, because that's going to get stretch limo clients. It would also get other people looking for airport stuff as well. But a keyword that works really well for these corporate limo companies is just like airport limo, broad match modified keyword airport limo, because then that's someone looking for more like a black car service. And so when a generalist agency, tries to compete, a lot of times they don't know these little details that matter a lot, because these guys are typically looking for a certain type of lead. They don't want leads of, people looking for stretch limos if they don't own a stretch limo, because then they have to, find an affiliate for that, which they can still make some money on it, but they really want to focus on booking their own vehicles first. It makes the most sense, right? And so really I found the number one thing is understanding your client, keyword selection, and then a massive list of negative keywords that include cities, states, state abbreviations, airport codes, that your clients don't service, airport names that your clients don't service. And obviously using your negative keyword pro tool, that thing is hugely helpful. And really the ad copy that can help, but I think 90, I'm a huge fan of 80/20, as I know you are. You love Perry Marshall, all that stuff. I think really the 20% that drives the 80% of the results are the keyword and keyword selection and having a long list of negative keywords. Once you have that in order, I think your ad copy doesn't have to be perfect. And obviously you want a good landing page. But that's, I think, is if we're just talking traffic, that's really the most important, pieces.
Sure. Yeah. And then you squeezed a lot in there. So you kind of mentioned having these big lists of negative keywords. You mentioned just kind of knowing the industry and knowing how these keywords trigger different types of searches, and you've mentioned being able to build out custom campaigns in Active Campaign. These are all obvious benefits to just focusing on one niche, right? So how does having so many clients, any other things you can think of where having almost 100 clients in the same niche benefits every client? You're able to use one thing over here and apply it over there. How does that synergy work from your perspective? How does everyone come out a winner in that case?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of my clients think it's a negative thing. Because I tell all my clients, I have multiple clients in the same markets. I use different ads, I use different landing pages, but typically I'm using somewhat similar keywords, similar negative keywords. I can, the data I build from really just running so many campaigns. I've got a master negative keyword list that is probably one of the most valuable assets in my business. Just from running all of these campaigns for so long, it's got to be 3,500, 4,000, word negative keyword list. And then each client has to have their own kind of special negative keyword list, depending on the area they service. But that's what's really helpful is all of this data really allows me to make each new campaign that much better from the get-go. Because I'm sure Kyle, if you start in a brand new niche and you're figuring it out, it's costing your client a lot of money, right? Because you're kind of figuring out what works. You're figuring out, what search queries, convert the best. And so that's what I tell people. I charge a premium because I get them results pretty much right away. And I can even kind of guesstimate approximately how many leads they're going to get a month based on the budget they have to spend and the city they're servicing. Obviously, leads in New York are going to cost more than leads in like Kansas City. So that's kind of why it's so valuable. If you run an agency, you should focus on one niche or two or three at the most, but it just makes everything so much easier. Everything, and your clients get better results. So
yeah. Now you've been focusing on limo companies for about 3 years. Have you noticed any changes to the general marketing landscape in that time? Things gotten easier, harder? How have you had to adjust, if at all?
yeah, so Uber and Lyft had a pretty big impact on the corporate and airport work. If anything, I've noticed that side of the limo industry is almost even more competitive. I've found most companies are getting away from stretch limos because they are inconvenient. They break down, they have issues. But I found, there's a ton of people that still are searching for those. And so there's actually, I think the smart, I just interviewed someone the other day who's grown massively in the past 22 months, only spending $1,500 a month on ad spend. So not a ton of money, grown from 5 to 25 vehicles in that time frame. And he saw that there was a lack of stretch limos in his market because all the companies were selling them because, oh, I want to focus on corporate. And there's only so much of that work out there. And I think just kind of figuring out what is lacking in your market and what are people looking for? You know, the leads that are coming in, what are they requesting? What sort of vehicles are they requesting? I think many times people are trying to, they want their client to, want something where really the client, the clients in one city might be more looking for stretch limos, and there might be a massive amount of competition for corporate and airport stuff, but they're so focused on that's the kind of business they want to build without thinking that, look, if you're going to be the 100th company offering the same exact product, really, how do you differentiate yourself? And so I would say in the past few years, that's changed a lot. Companies going away from stretch limos, which the ones that are winning now are the ones that are actually keeping theirs and getting better ones, because there aren't as many around. And it's basic economics. When the supply drops and the demand stays constant, you're going to be booking a lot more jobs.
Interesting. Now, I was thinking the other day that I actually have never ridden in a stretch limo. Have you?
Yeah, a long time ago, but yeah, not recently. But I think it's a lot of like brides, and a lot of people still are looking for them. I see because I see the leads that are coming in, what they're the types of vehicles they're requesting. That's another thing it gives me. Working with 90 companies, God, I don't even know how many leads a month I'm providing, but probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 15,000 leads a month or more. You really get a lot of data on what is getting more popular, what's getting less popular, what are people looking for, and I think that also gives you a competitive advantage.
Yeah. Now, I know you take on a lot of clients where they probably never done Google ads. You're setting them up from scratch, and I'm sure you also are talking to people who've been doing it themselves, right? And they're coming to you because they just heard about you, or they've gotten frustrated trying to do it themselves.
Yeah.
When you look at a campaign from a limo company owner who's been doing it themselves, what's the biggest mistake you see these people making?
Yeah, so they don't understand the different keyword match types. And the most common mistake I see is overuse of broad match keywords, or I should just say using broad match keywords, because I only think someone who's very experienced with Google Ads should even use broad match keywords. And so that would be the number one mistake I see, is overusing a broad match keywords, not having enough ad groups, having, maybe 2 or 3 ad groups with, 100 broad match keywords that aren't even related to each other, which means, people are not going to be seeing ads that are relevant to their search query, which means that's going to reduce, your click-through rate, which is going to increase your cost per click. So that would be the number one mistake I see. Number two, is actually not the Google Ads campaign at all. It's just not using landing pages. You go on a website, you can't find a phone number, because they're going for aesthetics instead of function. So I would say that's probably the second biggest mistake is, they have this beautiful website, but you can't find how to contact, them, which, it is kind of makes it pointless to run an online marketing campaign if you're looking for leads.
Yeah, no, are you including landing pages
Oh
with your
yeah.
service? Okay.
It's almost a requirement at this point. I would say 95% of my clients, I use a landing page because it's just so much easier to control the result when you have control of the full experience.
Mm-hmm. But you're not charging extra for that. That's just kind of part of your premium fee.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just part of it. It's part of every package. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are the top 3 things that you would say that limo companies should be doing with their Google ads for the biggest chance of success? Do these 3 things. What are they?
Well, Number one is your keyword selection. So if you're doing, if you're a corporate focused limo company, understand that your best keywords are going to be car service. That's probably going to be your number one keyword. You can use limo service as a keyword, but you have to have an airport or airport code in the keyword as well, or it's going to lead to a lot of people looking for stretch limos. So number one, I would say keyword selection. Number two, massive list of negative keywords, because you'll waste a ton of money on irrelevant traffic if you don't have a good negative keyword list. And then number three is landing pages, using a landing page. And it's not necessarily a landing page. You can use your website, but you want to make sure your website has I've seen the best results when you have a quote request form above the fold, when your number is in the upper right-hand corner, plainly visible. You want your, all your calls to action, which are, like your get a quote now buttons or your phone number, call now. You want those to really have a lot of contrast with the background. You want to make it very simple, the next action you want the visitor to take. And so if we can get the right people clicking on our ads, which that's done through keywords and negative keywords, pay as little as possible per click, so not bidding too high, and then send them to a page that shows them the action you want them to take. That's how you get consistent leads every day at a relatively low cost.
Yeah. And so Mark mentioned having a contact form above the fold. In case anyone is not familiar with that term, that just means it would be at the top of the page. Someone would see it before they had to scroll down anywhere. Exactly. So really just making things as frictionless as possible, giving people the information they need without distracting them with what they don't need. It's pretty much how a good landing page works.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is going to be super helpful for people who are looking to, run limo company campaigns.
Yeah.
So thanks for that. Is there anything that haven't asked you that I should have asked you?
No, I mean, that really, people, I think, many times make Google ads more complex than it needs to be. It's about showing your ads to the right people, not spending too much per click, and sending them to a landing page that's going to convert them from a visitor into a lead. That's all Google ads is made to do, is send the right people for the lowest amount of money to a page. And you do that through proper keyword and having the right negative keywords. Now, I'm not saying ad copy isn't important. You should probably include your keyword somewhere in your first or second headline. You should talk about, benefits and instead of features. What I like to do is I'll go on Yelp, I'll read reviews, and I'll say, what is everyone saying? I'll read maybe 20 reviews. What are people saying what keeps coming up over and over that they liked about the service of this company? And then I talk about that in the ad. And it's not about, we have the largest fleet. Maybe they care about, maybe it's like arrive relaxed, worry-free travel, punctual, on time, things like that. And so, other than that, I mean, it's I think it's pretty simple. All those different little things like bid modifiers, all this other crazy stuff. I to this day, I don't use a lot of it, and I still can get good results. And so yeah, that's pretty much it, I think.
Okay, great. Now, where should people go, Mark, if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can go to limomarketer.com. I also have a YouTube channel, YouTube Limo Marketer, and you can get in touch with me there. You can connect with me on Facebook, Mark Petree. You should see me. I've got, I think, a public figure page too. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I see your some recording equipment behind you. So are you putting out a lot of content for limo company owners to watch?
Yeah. So, well, in the last month I haven't, but I just moved from an office back to a home office. And so, yeah, this is all my just lighting, really it's, I bought a $2,500 camera I don't even use. I've been using my, new iPhone. It is really all I need. Really, I've found, people get too wrapped up in production value, and really it's the content. It's what you're saying that matters. Having like everything perfect isn't as important, but yeah, I've been creating, I found once I started creating content and putting it online, people start coming to you instead of having a cold call, which is kind of like beating your head against the wall.
Sure. So yeah, anyone looking to get in touch with Mark, check out his website, his YouTube channel. You'll be able to learn a lot more about him there. Obviously, he knows what's going on when it comes to Google ad campaigns for limo companies, right? He's the guy.
Yeah.
So thanks again, Mark, for coming on.
Yeah. Great having me. Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, and this has been the Google Ads Strategy Show. I'm your host, Kyle Sullerud, and I will talk to you later.